So acrylic gouache is essentially like a synthetic acrylic-based medium that acts "quote unquote" very similarly to gouache. Now, I haven't used acrylic gouache in 9 years. The last time I touched it was in my junior year of art school, and I tried it out and I hated it because it was so different from regular gouache. As we've talked before in other streams, gouache is cool where it's always water soluble. You can go back to a painting you worked on years ago and touch it up and keep working on it. Acrylic gouache is acrylic based, so it is plastic based. So when it dries, it dries. The pros of that, though, are that it is supposed to get a really good, clean, matte finish, and the colors are very, what's the word I'm looking for? Bright, they're potent. So, and intentionally, I held off. So I have not used it in 9 years. So y'all can hear me be frustrated as we go about it.
I'm curious though, Alex, is it half acrylic? Like, I'm confused about what the chemical makeup is.
Oh, you and me both. It's funny. I actually have been trying to do some searches, and I'm gonna have a phone call with somebody from the company soon. I did something similar with Winsor Newton forever ago about why some of the pigments dried out flaky and some of them dried out differently. And a lot of that has to do with the color pigmentation. But essentially, acrylic gouache is plastic based in the same way that acrylic paint is plastic based. But the difference is that, unlike acrylic paint, you do mix it with water in the palette and as you're painting with it. So it's water soluble until dry.
But when it dries, can you reactivate it?
That is something that we will find out.
Oh, you don't know?
No, it's that thing where it is, when it dries, it is supposed to be pretty water soluble. But as we know, every medium is a little different depending on how you use it. So part of what I'm excited about to try out here is that when using regular gouache, so much can change depending on how little or how much water you use when you mix it. And so I'm really excited here to try out using it like really thickly straight from the tube or mixed with a lot of water and see what those levels do. I'm curious about how the layering works versus with gouache, where gouache you can't really layer, but with this being very opaque, I'm really excited to kind of see how that works without rehydrating the layer below it.
By the way, you are all welcome to draw or paint along with us. Use any media you want. And after the stream, we'll be hanging out in the Art Prof Discord and the Art Alongs channel. So we hope to see all of you there. If you want to know the specifics of the art supplies we're using, like, for example, I am using these watercolor pencils from Faber-Castell. And actually, these are the thin ones. I have another set here. These are called Magnus. It sounds like something from the Roman Empire.
Yeah, and I'm using these Turner acrylic gouache sets. This set comes in 36 colors, and they come in tubes about this size, and it's a whole slew of them. And I know in other streams I've recommended people when trying new mediums to deal with a limited palette, but I'm going to be using a pretty broad palette of that 36 set just to kind of see what the subtle differences are. Again, I know from all other paints that the difference between seemingly similar colors like aqua and turquoise can be very different in practicality. So let's find out.
By the way, I also want to say thank you so much to Jerry's Artorama, who provided the acryl gouache paints that Alex is using today. So thank you so much, Jerry's, for providing the materials for this stream.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I hope we do y'all justice. So let's, right, I guess let's find out.
I'm so curious because I'm just so confused about what acryl gouache is. I don't get it.
I'm so excited. So I think what I'm going to do first is just straight from the tube. I'm going to use essentially an underpainting for the sky of this beautiful coral color. So you can see on the palette, it comes out very thick, and then when mixed with water, it's very light, similar to watercolor even.
Wait, are you doing the complementary color underpainting again?
Oh, I am not this time, actually.
Oh, well then why are you doing pink?
Oh, because I think in the clouds there's a little bit of pinkness in there that's just subtly hanging out.
You just totally shamed me, Alex, because I'm like here drawing with literal blue, and you're like, there's a little touch of pink in there.
It's just a little pink. You know what? If I'm honest, a little bit of pink might be from the yellow like screen mode that I have on my phone, which I'm looking at the reference photo with. So I might be painting more of a sunset, and you might be painting more of a midday.
I think I'm gonna rip you off and steal your pink. How's that?
Oh yeah, you know, you never stop learning from others, you know. Okay.
Exactly. Because you know something, if you don't add the pink, it's sort of boring in terms of color.
Yeah, I think painting mountains especially has that. You're tempted to just look and be like, all right, rocks are brown, mountains purple, sky is blue and white, and they can all look the same, and you have to really kind of get in and say like, okay, what color is really in there? What are the variant colors that I'll find when I'm looking? Okay, I'm really loving how vibrant the color is already.
Really? You feel like it's brighter than regular gouache?
Absolutely. And I think something great about it is that it's very, the color is consistent. So with gouache, this is true, and I say it jokingly about it all the time, that gouache is a different color on the label, in the tube, on the palette, wet and dry. They're all completely different colors. Whereas this is actually pretty consistent. And I think that comes from the benefit of, I'd imagine this comes from the benefit of being a little more like the plastic base. I wish I could have found more concrete answers, but you know, you can't learn everything in a day. You don't want to overwhelm me. I'm gonna do a lot of like finger touching with this as well, just to see how quickly that dries.
Yeah, why are you using your finger?
Oh, just basically like that was just to touch and see like, okay, is it smudging? How quickly does it absorb in?
Oh.
I'm also going to try just doing a clear wash of water onto it to answer that question we started with. Can you reactivate it? It looks like not really. There's I don't know if you can even see it. It's such a subtle amount of pigment, but it is not going anywhere.
Johnny is asking, Alex, have you used golden open acrylics and experienced the longer drawing times?
Honestly, that's how I have to paint with acrylics, because I would otherwise feel like they dried halfway between the palette and the canvas. So I love using slow dry mediums. That's honestly, that's how I've learned how to do acrylic, because I learned watercolor and gouache first.
Oh, so you didn't start with acrylic?
Well, I started with acrylic in the sense that we had it in our high school art classes and we were told to like, we can use it, but I didn't learn how to use it. I put it on a brush and then put that brush onto a canvas, but I didn't use acrylic. Let's see here. Now let's see how this stuff mixes. I'm going to be trying to use the same coral and then mixing that with a little bit of this aqua blue.
Rachel is asking, Clara, do you have a sketch underneath, or are you sketching straight in with the watercolor pencils? I'm going straight in with the watercolor pencils. This is where Alex and I really are different in terms of how we build our paintings. Because Alex, I know you always have a pencil sketch, right?
Oh yeah, always. It's been a long time since I've painted as if I'm sketching. Like,
Mm.
which honestly I usually do when I'm doing if like a plein air painting. Which I don't know about you all, but anytime it's winter, I'm like, oh, I'll do plein air painting when it's warmer outside, and then when it's summer, I say, oh, I'll do plein air painting when it's cooler outside. So,
Of course.
yep.
There's
The
always
long-
an excuse for everything, isn't there?
Oh yeah. If you can't find an excuse, you're not looking hard enough.
Guys, don't listen to Alex. He's a bad influence.
I still have a newspaper clipping that I picked up in high school. It was by the comic Non Sequitur in the newspapers, and it was the look into the creative process. And it was just panel after panel of the artist sitting at the desk sipping a cup of coffee, and the final panel says, "Maybe I'll think of something after a nap." And I very much relate to that.
Alex, do you like Calvin and Hobbes?
I love Calvin and Hobbes.
How can you not? So he wrote this anniversary book, and it's so cool because there's all this writing where he explains the creative process, and he has like commentary on specific comics, and he explains, oh, this one went off the rails, or I struggle with this. And one of the things he said was, people always want to know how comic artists get their ideas. We just sit down and we stare out into space. That's it. It's true.
Yeah.
It's really not that exciting, right?
I was joking with a friend of mine the other day about like he was asking like, "Oh, what have you been working on?" And I was honest, where I was like, "Honestly, me like a lot of people, pandemic year was pretty hard, so I found myself very creatively spent." And I would go through this cycle where I'd think of a good idea, and then I'd sketch it out and be like, "Oh, okay, this painting will take me maybe give or take 20 hours. Is the idea that good? Is it really worth my time?" And then I just wouldn't do it, which of course is the wrong answer. You have to have a little bit of, it'll be fine. You have to throw a little bit of that caution to the wind.
I would like to hear in the chat how many people here had a similar experience, because I know a lot of people were very frustrated that there is this opinion that, oh, because we're at home with the lockdown, look at how much time you have. You should be more productive. I'm like, no.
Yeah, like I'm staying at home having a sad. Give me time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By the way, if anybody wants to paint along with us, the link to the reference photo is in the video description below. It's on our Flickr page, which is a free photo collection you can access, and you can download super high resolution images. I shoot all of them on my DSLR camera. And actually, this photo, Alex, is from this strange place about 45 minutes from Salt Lake City called Antelope Island. Have you ever heard of it?
Not yet. It looks beautiful though. And yeah, you don't need to say strange place twice. It looks like a scene from a Kubrick movie.
Well, the way I would describe this place, it feels like you went back to prehistoric history. And when you're there, you feel like a T-Rex could just show up. There's something very strange about it.
And very unsettling.
Yes. There's bison.
Oh,
They're all over.
they're so sweet.
Well, until they knock you over.
Well, you were probably bothering them.
Yeah, you probably were asking for it if you got knocked over by a bison.
Yeah. Hot take for me, if a bison attacks you, you probably bothered the bison.
Let's see, we have a couple of stories about pandemic existence. And Ariel says, I gave up art during the pandemic for months. Didn't think I'd ever make art again. Adam says, I was more productive this year than others. I feel like I really turned on. And JD Corrigan says, I did more art, but that's because I took 3 college art classes that made me be more accountable and productive. And Slepnir says, I guess I'm atypical because I worked all the way through the pandemic. I think it's so specific to your situation, because I've seen a lot of articles. There are certain industries that just are booming right
Yeah.
now for one reason or another. I mean, we're sort of one of them, actually. I feel sort of bad about it, but it's strange.
Yeah, and it's really funny where with the last comment saying like I guess I'm atypical. I think that I really like sharing that I was very creatively stagnant during 2020 because I think the expectation was, like you said, hey, you're at home all day, time to make your masterwork. And I do know friends who were working, say, specifically in like the concept art field for animations, video games, and things like that, and they were working remotely anyway. So they were just like, all right, I'm a contract worker. I'm just going to keep on keeping on. Um, and yeah, I think it's just kind of you go at the pace that you go. When someone mentioned having classes, I think that's a big thing. If you have a job or a class where you have to kind of get up and go, I think that can be a huge influencer. At least for me, I know that's true.
Alex, I think it's time to pull out the blow dryer.
Oh yeah,
For me, at least.
You're moving so much quicker. I'm just kind of. It's funny. I'm having a lot of fun playing with dry brushing with this.
I love dry brushing.
Yeah, and it's dry brushing doesn't really work with gouache. But here, I'm like, oh yeah, let's do it. I find I can get a little.
Oh my god,
bit
Alex!
more...
You know what I just realized? You guys, this is such an artist problem. I started picking out some. They're supposed to be colored pencils, but I just realized that I mixed my pastel pencils into the same bin as my colored pencils.
Waffle.
And now every time I reach for one, it's a pastel pencil. I'm so dumb.
Hey, it looks like Clara's starting a mixed media piece.
An accidental one. I'm so stupid. Why did I do that?
Hey, you're being really mean to my friend right now.
What? Oh my god, these are all pastel pencils, but a few of them are colored pencils. I think. Oh my god, what a mess. So actually, Alex, you know what's funny is the one time that I thought about setting up my hair dryer, I actually had to use it for real to dry my hair, and now it's in the other room. What can you do?
Honestly, yeah, like last time I got a haircut, like asking how to style it. Stylist was like, do you have a hairdryer home? I was like, yeah, but it's in my studio. And they're like, what? Don't worry about it. You don't need to know.
I mean, I feel like I've used that hairdryer twice to dry my hair.
Yeah, I mean it's hair. Air will dry it. Put a hat on it. God, this is so exciting to play around with. Like,
yeah, you're liking it?
Yeah, and I'm switching back to like really wet application. And it's so wild how that is different from dry brushing. You can kind of see how it completely, even in this thinner layer, it's completely covering up what was done before. There's only a slight shadow behind it. I'm really excited to play with like the happy medium that comes from that. Finding that, I think that's what I'm most blown away by is the breadth of application between thin and thick coats. That's really kind of exciting. It's like it's acrylic, but it has automatically a slow dry medium in the water. It's just up to you how much you add.
So now that you have this gigantic set of acryl gouache, do you think you'll use it more, or do you still?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I am like now. I'm excited about doing three medium mixed medium of like watercolor, gouache, and acryl gouache because I think that will have really cool hierarchy of levels and just kind of automatic. Making space is going to be so cool with that. I was about to
Oh
say,
my god,
like,
we have to do a stream on that, Alex.
Oh yeah. It would be kind of fun to do like 3 different streams, like one of just the watercolor layer, then the gouache layer.
But would you actually do it that way, or do you go back and forth?
With watercolor and gouache, I typically when I'm done with watercolor, I switch over to gouache. And with this, especially going to gouache or acryl gouache from regular gouache, because this is plastic based, I couldn't go with gouache over on top of it.
Seven Angelic says, wait, a hair dryer used as an actual hair dryer? What? I know. Isn't it insane to think about that? Sarah McFadden says, I love the effects you can get with really watery acrylic gouache as well. So how is that different than watercolor, Alex? If you put tons of water to make it very thin, does it feel smoother or more fluid?
Well, I'll show you I'll go into this area really quick, and let's use a lot of water for this part. So you can see on the palette, it's like, yeah, really soapy. We're just going to curl around here. We're going to do that big shape. And you see how dark it is already, even though it's extremely, extremely washed out. And I can
So is it more powerful than watercolor?
Let's use the word saturated.
Saturated, okay.
Saturated, yeah. I don't know, I was watching a Marvel movie the other day, and so yeah, the phrase powerful, like, I don't know, powerful's, it's not better than, but it's a different use than gouache.
So Alex, I got a question for you, because with watercolor, I have this terrible tendency of getting too dark too fast because I love dark values. But the thing is, you went right in with that super dark brown. Are you not worried about that because it's an opaque paint?
I think so, yeah. I'm kind of have this thought of like, I can just go over it. I can just lighten it up. Because yeah, that's the thing with watercolor and gouache, you can't really do that. Oh, this is fun. I did a wet on wet, wet on very wet, and it does still have a little bit of a bleed like you would get in watercolor.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm really loving how versatile this is. I think when I first heard about this medium, an artist named Rich Pellegrino used it, and I picked it up, and because I was a junior in college, I was like, oh, why doesn't mine look like that? And I instantly put it away, never to touch again, until now.
I know sometimes it's really discouraging when you're using this material and you see another artist do it and you're like, I don't understand.
Yeah. And that's, man, this is wild. Just kind of playing with something new. Like, honestly, with every area I'm doing, I'm like, okay, well, what if we tried it like this? And just kind of seeing what happens with it.
Elizabeth says, for the 100K subscriber celebration on YouTube, what about people who want to get the official Art Prof haircut and put their selfie on Discord? I know me and Alex have the exact same haircut, you guys. Look, see? Mm-hmm. It's so funny. How did we didn't plan that, Alex?
We're both just in touch, you know? We know what's up.
Whatever you say.
Yep. I actually finally got it done. I got my haircut yesterday by somebody who wasn't myself for the first time in a long time.
Ooh,
that
sounds fancy.
It was fun.
Actually, Alex, I'm pretty sure I'm going to shave my head.
Like all the way?
Well, I think I want to shave it on the sides, but keep it a little bit longer in the top so I can spike it up.
Yeah. Do you want to do like mohawk mullet kind of thing, or just on the top?
Nah, no mullet. I don't think I can bring myself to do that.
Prof in the front, art in the back. Mullets are coming back.
No, it should not come back. Alice in Wonderland says, we all have a medium that we tried, failed, and never tried again. or possibly until years later. Alice, that's exactly what happened to me with watercolor. I hated it when I used it in high school, didn't touch it again. Then I went to Utah, I shot the tutorial, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And now I don't think I'm an amazing watercolor painter, but I think I'm decent now compared to before.
I think, yeah, you just have to kind of, I love, what helps is looking at old work from artists that you love. Of course, I'm Alex, and so I'm spacing on the name of this artist. He's a concept artist, Alan Williams. And he occasionally posts some paintings that he did even 15 years ago. And I love his work now. And for his work 15 years ago, Alan, if you're watching this, I don't mean it, but it's like, that's nice. Yeah. You know, it's like, but the work he's doing now is like deeply impactful. I find it beautiful. Whereas even 10 years ago, it's like, good job, bud. That's you know, which of course is all my personal taste right there. But yeah, it's cool to see that it's like you don't just wake up knowing how to use the medium you're using.
Oh, and there's some mediums, Alex, that just take so long. Like oil painting just took me forever to get a grip on. It is so slow to learn.
Yeah, oil painting it's such a hard medium to learn because, I mean, right now, even if I wanted to oil paint, I couldn't because we're still in a small apartment. I have a dog. I'm concerned about the fumes, you know, so it's hard. Like after graduation, it was like that Zuko meme from Avatar. Like, that's rough, buddy. I went to art school and studied oil painting, and now I live in a small space. It's rough, buddy. Us watercolorists are adaptable. Okay. Oh, let's try this color.
Rachel says the thing with acrylic gouache is it mimics a soft body / fluid acrylic, but leaves way less strokes, doesn't reactivate like gouache, which can be a blessing or a curse depending on the artist. I think I get it now, Rachel. That was really helpful because I'd love to try it at some point, but I just, again, cannot wrap my head around what it is.
I think a lot of this too is I'm intentionally just playing around in different ways with every area of this painting. And so I'm kind of like, yeah, we'll just see what happens. I think a lot of this is going to be finding out how I like to use it. Because the thing I'm instantly loving is like, in testing out different techniques, it's like, okay, you can do this, you can do this. Cool, you're a pretty versatile medium. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out how I would like to use this very, very versatile medium.
Heartbroke Prince says, what about water mixable oils or not using a solvent, just medium? Have you tried water mixable oils, Alex? I wasn't sure.
I never have, but you've used them before, right?
I did. I tried them on a stream for the first time because a lot of people wanted me to try it out to show them what it was like. And my issue with it is that everybody kept saying, oh, how is it compared to oils? And is it better? Or is it just as good? And I honestly couldn't even think about it as oil paint. I just thought of it as like another category of paint because I feel like if you try to compare it to oils, it just doesn't live up.
Yeah. I kind of would say the same thing about this. Like, it's too bad that it's named Acryl Gouache. Well, okay, it's more similar than that sounds to gouache. I'm not completely up a creek without a paddle, but yeah, I think the first time I tried it, I was expecting like, oh, it's going to be like gouache, the thing I know and love, and it is different. It is different.
Well, that's what I mean, is there's a lot of videos on YouTube that are like acrylic gouache versus gouache, which is better, and I just feel like you should just accept that they're their own thing, and if you just keep comparing them, you're just always going to be frustrated.
It's like, hey man, let's just learn to love each other, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that how you talk to your paints, Alex?
Weirdly enough, that's how I'm talking to acrylic gouache. Like, for gouache, I'm talking like, okay, here we go, bop, bop, bop. But I'm not making robot noises for acrylic gouache.
Wait, so are you partying a little bit? Are you flirting?
I think I'm kind of just this is it. I'm in an elevator going up like 200 floors, and acrylic gouache is like the person standing next to me. So it's like too long to not say anything, but we're still both kind of like reading the room. Like, yeah. You watch TV? Yeah. No, you don't have a TV. Okay, okay. Cool. Yeah. Like we're just kind of learning a little bit about each other.
I think this should be a podcast, Alex. You talking to different media. Okay, so tell me, if you are using charcoal, what does that conversation sound like?
I would be using a lot of swear words.
Really? You're like Jordan, you don't like charcoal?
For me, and it's so funny, and guys, let us know in the chat. I don't think I'm alone here. The sound the charcoal makes on the paper drives me bonkers.
Oh yeah, a lot of people hate that.
I love.
You're definitely not alone.
It doesn't make sense when I say like it's a sound I can feel in my teeth. You know, it's like
yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, but not here. Here, everything is smooth and wet.
So, Alex, I have never used watercolor pencils with watercolor. I've always just used them as colored pencils. This is really weird.
That's wild. I know people who like only use them. Are you... So watercolor pencils, essentially, they're a little bit water soluble, right? Like you can kind of bleed.
Oh, they're totally water soluble. So I can go in here and like activate the purple colored pencil.
You sound like a transformer now. Activate purple pencil.
See, Alex, I grew up with the old school Transformers.
Oh, yeah. I never cared for Transformers. Old school or new school, I'm just like, I don't get it.
Well, they're kind of boring.
There's
not really much meat to the story of Transformers. I'm sorry to say. It's not that deep.
I'm just like, but why? But why?
That's what I mean. Like, what is there to say? There's just not much going on there.
They're giant robots, but they can turn into trucks. Like, but why would you turn into a truck? So they can hide. But why would you hide? Like, yeah. I don't know.
Alice says, well, that's settled. Alex and Jordan have to do a live stream using charcoal.
Oh, God. Okay, we hit... that would be so much fun, actually.
Yeah?
It would be like two people
you
on
sure
a
about that?
No, it would be like two people on a road trip where both of you are lost, and you pass from frustrated into just you're having fun again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but Alex, is it like good lost or is it like panic lost? Because those are two different kinds of being lost.
Panic lost, like you're lost and you're never going to find your way home, and you're just adapting to your new life on the road.
Oh,
That's,
no.
I think, Jordan and I using charcoal. Like, this is my life now. Okay.
All right. I want to know, how do you talk to a piece of clay?
Oh, that's interesting. Because, yeah, I'd make a little, like, some pots, like little vases for succulents out of Sculpey. I don't really talk to Sculpey. I did take an art prof user's advice and soften it up by using a hammer. Because it's
yeah, that's great.
Neat. Yeah, it's a great way to get it malleable.
Well, you know, Alex, I've been wanting you to do sculpture forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, sculpture and printmaking.
Yes. Oh my God. I want you to do wood engraving so bad. Oh my God. I think you would just be like a mini Barry Mosher. You know what I mean? Like you totally could be that.
That would be so much fun to be mini Barry Mosher.
You know, like Barry Mosher 0.03.
I think
Sorry,
that's that.
nobody's as good as him.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Barry Mosher's watching this stream. Is like, no one, and he starts working even harder. All right, I'm making little music sounds. That means I'm getting more comfortable with it.
Baker Illustrations says charcoal pencils are better than Vine charcoal. I think from my point of view, I don't think that they're better. I just think they have very different purposes. Vine charcoal, here's how I feel about Vine charcoal, Alex. They're just like so easygoing and chill, and it's like they're super flexible and they're willing to go anywhere. But it's like when it comes down to it, they're not really there for you. Do you know these people?
Oh yeah. Kind of like I love my dog, but kind of like my dog.
Yeah, your dog's not there for you?
Well, no, she's there for me, but it's like she's not much of a cuddler. And you're like, oh, I've had a hard day. I just need to sit on the couch and snuggle a dog. She's like, you're getting a little close. You might want to back up.
She doesn't like to cuddle with you?
It's not as bad as all that. We've had her for about 3 years now, and she's now sits next to us and snuggles us on the couch. So we finally did it.
I have a friend that just got a new cat, and something must have happened to this cat because she was so jumpy, and like if you even approached her, she just would go like totally freeze up. It was really a bummer.
It's a bummer, but also kind of funny. I like conspiracy theorist cats.
What? What is that?
I don't know, where cats are like that, and they're just like suspicious of everything and just kind of jumpy.
Ariel is asking, are we going to have more printmaking streams? I want to, for sure. I think it's nice to see being able to do printmaking at home, because there are so many printmaking techniques like lithography and etching that you literally cannot do at home, because I don't really want nitric acid in my house. Oh, so I didn't finish up my whole psychoanalysis of Vine charcoal. Yes. So Vine charcoal is not really there for you, even though they're fun and flexible in the moment. And charcoal pencil, they weren't that nice when you met them. They were a little bit abrupt, a little abrasive, but they'll come through for you. Like when the time is right, they will help you out.
I was going to say charcoal pencil would be kind of like a Man in Black in like Alien stories, where it's like at first you're like, oh, I know what this is. It's a pencil. I know how to use it. And then it's like opens its mouth and speaks in some strange eldritch language, and you're completely terrified. That's charcoal pencil for me. Like, oh, easy. I just put it in a pencil sharpener and nope, the lead broke.
Nope.
No, you don't. It's not lead. I'll just erase it. Nope. Can't erase it. Yeah. Oh, this
is. Sometimes feel like an alien life form.
This right here is, I think, my happy spot with this stuff. Like layer 2.
Yeah.
Where, oh yeah, it's got a little bit. Oh, this is. Yep, this is it. Here we go. All right, now we're cooking with gas.
So you're really liking the acryl gouache, Alex?
I am. I think it's all the things that I personally liked about acrylic, with enough of a connection to gouache where it sounds mean to acrylic, but it's not acrylic, you know? Where acrylic is kind of asking too much of me, you know?
They a little needy.
Yeah, well, it's, not wrong, just wrong for me, Like, I have to use way too many extra things to make acrylic my kind of medium. Acrylic gouache, this just has a come as you are kind of feel.
I'm surprised that you like it so much. I thought you always had like 1,000% allegiance to gouache.
Oh, I'm sure that a diligent user can find the videos where I say, I hate acrylic gouache.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I remember saying it because I had that experience from 9 years ago. And I was like, nope, 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 nope.
So you're changing your mind?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, could it be that the brand you had long time ago was not very good, and maybe that's what made it a bad experience?
That is entirely possible. But two things. One, I cannot remember the brand. And two, while it's possible, I don't think it was likely. I think that it was a personal thing rather than a brand thing. Because I knew enough by then to know, like, okay, well, don't be dumb and buy the most expensive paint you can find. But I also did know enough to know, like, okay, don't buy the cheapest you can find either, because that's not going to be really accurate.
Because there really are some paints that are so terrible that I feel like they like misrepresent what
Absolutely.
the medium is supposed to be. Like they're that bad.
Definitely feel that. And it's really a bummer of like, oh, I can't wait to try this, and then it just gets people completely turned off of it. Kind of like tried to get my brother to watch Full Metal Alchemist, and he was like, yeah, I didn't really like it. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, Brotherhood. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. Don't watch Brotherhood. Just watch the original.
Oh. Alex, this is a great description from Jazz W. Vine Truckle is a flaky friend that says they're going to drive you home and then they leave the party early without telling you. You see, you think they're your friend, but they're not there for you.
Okay, I'm actually going to come in defense of Vine Charcoal, which I liked of all the other charcoals. Vine Charcoal is like the kid from the Breakfast Club who like used her dandruff on the paper, like the weird.
Yeah, I love her. She's the best.
She's the best, and that's kind of Vine Charcoal, where it's a little atypical. You just kind of you can't push it too hard. You just kind of you meet it where it's at, and it's going to be the best.
Okay, now here's the real question, Alex. Out of all the characters in the Breakfast Club, who would you be?
That's the thing. I wish I was. That's the thing. I don't know their names well enough.
Well, you know, there's like Molly Ringwald, who is like the pretty popular girl. There's like the nerd.
Estevez, and then there's
he's like random, the jock.
Yeah, and then there's a random 40-year-old. Bender, right?
Bender, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, even when I first saw Breakfast Club, I was like, wow, what is a 45-year-old man doing in detention? Like, get him out of here. You know what? Weird. I think I'm the janitor.
I love the janitor. He's awesome.
He's so great. He's so great.
So now all of you have to tell us in the chat which Breakfast Club character you would be. We need to know.
Oh, you're cooler, but I almost like I'm thinking the principal. He's like, you mess with the bowl, you get the horns, and I could kind of see you doing that, Clara.
I think I would definitely be the girl that did the dandruff thing. That's definitely me.
Yeah, she's great. Biggest complaint of that movie, spoiler alert, is that she has like a glam up scene at the end.
I hate that part. It's so annoying.
Because the whole rest of the movie is like, wow, we should really learn to like love each other for who we are and embrace our own individual nature. And then it's like, hey, but what if you wore makeup? And it's like, all right, sure, I guess.
Yeah, that really annoyed me because I was like, first of all, she does not look better. And second of all, this is just wrong that they felt the need to do that, you know?
And then she just went on to date the future coach of the Mighty Ducks, you know? All right.
What was her name again? Is it Ali Sheedy? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm having a really hard time, and she's my favorite character, so that's tough. Who was the actor who played the principal? He was a fairly well-known guy, right?
I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, I think he was in a lot of 80s movies. You know, Alex, I'm kind of liking the mixture of the watercolor pencil with the watercolor because I'm getting like this dryness from the pencil, but then I can make it all wiggly with water if I want to. It's sort of nice because with watercolor, it's hard to get texture sometimes.
It's looking very cool.
I mean, we'll see. I could just destroy it in the next few minutes. I shouldn't rest on my laurels. Like now I'm screwed because I just said something positive about my piece and now it's all over.
I'm oh, awesome. This is cool.
What?
Y'all seeing where basically I'm covering up the first marks I made because I'm like, yeah, nope. And swoop, completely different. I can just start over.
So are you just mostly enchanted by the fact that it doesn't reactivate the way that gouache does?
Yeah, I think I am. I think I'm enchanted by that and the consistency of it. Like this area that I painted on with a very wet brush, it looks the same as it did when I applied the paint.
Which, like I said, at the so there's no surprises.
Exactly. That is not the case with gouache. Now I'm curious to try it out with mixing white, which I know is a big staple of acrylic paint. So I'm curious to try mixing white and hoping that can have that nice dull texture of that background purplish brown in the mountains there. Let's find out.
Yeah, because to me, the lack of layering in gouache because it reactivates, that really drives me crazy. That's so hard to deal with.
I think it's just a lot of how I think about gouache is in sections. And that helps make it a little easier. But yeah, you're right. That is, I think, that's a very accurate way to look at what a lot of people view as the learning curve of it. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. You need a little more red. Or orange. Let's go with orange.
I want to give a shout out to Anna. Thank you so much for the super chat. We greatly appreciate your support. And Anna says, can you think of any makeover movies with men?
I had one for this. Crumbs. It's like on the tip of my tongue. There definitely is one.
The only one I can think about is the TV show Queer Eye.
There's Queer Eye, definitely. You could argue Batman Begins.
Wait, what? What are you talking about?
It's a montage. It's got the music. He gets the suit, you know.
That's true.
You could argue.
I mean, he's hot anyway, though, so...
There's not a makeover scene in it, but it's with Ryan Reynolds, an early movie of his, where he starts off the movie in like a fake fat suit, singing that like I swear by the moon and the sun. Can anyone name? It's hysterical.
I didn't know you were going to sing for us, Alex.
There's a little bit. He has like a Ryan Reynolds, so he has like a little fake retainer in, and he's got a little lisp. It's really, really endearing.
But that is true. I mean, there's a lot. Oftentimes, it is a woman who's getting the makeover. I think that's fairly common.
Yeah. I do still love the makeover scene from Princess Diaries. That movie is fantastic.
I never saw that movie, and I confess, I don't really like Anne Hathaway. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people like her, but I don't like her that much.
She's cool.
She's fine. She doesn't bother me, but I don't know. She's just not.
I sound like my grandma when talking about like an actor or actress. Like, I just think they're nice. That Anne Hathaway seems like a really nice
That Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
So you know how I started my day, Alex?
Well, not watching Princess Diaries, but go on.
I was like, I haven't watched a Hugh Jackman video for like a day. I need to watch one right now before I get out of bed.
Which movie
And
did you
so
watch?
I sat and I watched this video of him on Stephen Colbert telling him that his son said he was nothing like Wolverine. He's not cool and he's not tough.
Oh. Womp womp. That's I was talking about this the other. It makes me think of the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The chief actor in that movie, his son wouldn't speak to him for days because he got to work in a movie with Bugs Bunny and he didn't let his son meet him.
Oh,
And that's very sweet. I did see that the guy who played Thor, he did a sweet little tweet of like holding one of his kids' hands and the kid's wearing a red cape. And he was like, I asked my kid what their favorite superhero was, and he said Superman. Luckily, I have 2 other children. Let's see here.
Abraham says, hello, I'm so happy to join this live because I got so into Art Prof these past few days. Very cool. I know it's always so fun when people are like, I just found you yesterday. Cool.
Yeah.
Alex, I think I might have to go get the hairdryer. This is so wet. I don't think I can do anything else to it.
I honestly, I get that. I can't watercolor when gouache, it's different, but watercolor, I need the hairdryer like nearby.
You know what? I'm going to go get it. Entertain them, Alex. I hope you can handle it.
You got it. Actually, it's funny because I'm having a little bit of a struggle now with acrylic gouache, where I am wishing I did some of this back area with a little bit more transparent washes, because now it's really conflicting for space. So I'm going to try messing around with ways to push that back and bring the hills in front of it forward. So step 1, let's try bringing those hills forward. See, I've even lost where the hills were because it's so... There we go.
Alex, I'm going to mute myself so this isn't super loud, okay?
Oh, yeah, good call. Okay, and then, oh, okay, this is fun, mixing like thickly wet on wet. That can get a nice, cool blending, very similar to what I'm used to with gouache. I hope that comes out. Yeah, that comes out pretty well in the video. Oh, yeah, there we are. Yeah, that's nice. That's a lot of fun.
Okay, I'm back. Yay! Oh my God, I'm so relieved.
Oh, this is making
Lillian
me miss so much.
Is asking, Alex, did you get a master's or a bachelor in art?
Oh, I just got a bachelor, BFA. I think that I'm a couple years, because I'm planning on applying to a master's program in 2022. Time is weird. 2021. Anyway, but I knew before I was planning on it, I was curious about whether or not to get a master's in art or a different field. And I think, actually, Clara, I'd be really curious about your thought on this. My thought was, if I wanted to get a master's in art, it would be specifically to teach at a college level. Do you think that's a fair way to look at getting a master's in art?
Honestly, I think that's the only reason to get a master's in art, because unless you have money to burn, it's astronomically expensive. Oh my God.
I'm tired. I invented dice as a kid.
Well, here's the thing. I could see how if you went to a liberal arts college or university and you never had the opportunity to like really go to art school, I think that that's probably a good reason to go. But I mean, I think if you've already been to art school, I honestly think you would get more out of like doing an artist residency, or I just don't think it's worth the money. I mean, it's $70,000 a year to do a master's degree now, and that just to me is horrifying.
Oh yeah. I think you make a really good point though of someone who like if you get an undergrad in something else, because that's essentially what I'm doing. Like in returning to school, I'm learning something other than art.
Right.
You know, like I wouldn't want to double dip. You know, like I wouldn't want to be like, all right, now I want to learn art really, really well. It's like no, it's like I think when you say artist residencies, it's like, yeah, that's that kind of thing. I feel like I would get more out of.
I mean, I think if you want to go to grad school just because you want to engage with the community and you want the critical engagement, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I'm just thinking about people who really go through a lot of hardship to make it happen. And I'm saying, listen, there's so many other ways to do something that's sort of similar. Of course, it's not exactly the same, but that doesn't cost that much.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
So Alex, I'm having like color envy right now. I feel like I'm not using enough colors, but then if I use more, I feel like I'm gonna get lost. Do you have any tips for me?
As someone who is currently lost, I think that's why I always like to start out bolder than I end up, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
another benefit of that, like really exciting underpainting, which now I gotta say, you know what? I was gonna say I wish I did the underpainting in this one, but I'm going to with the mountains, which I have. Hey, I haven't started. Let's use a little bit of pink, and mixing white was interesting for this, but it was strangely muted. And
you didn't like it?
No, it was almost like milky. Now, don't get me wrong. I can think of cases where that would be very, very satisfying. In fact, I might use a layer of just water and mixing white to kind of push the mountains back further. But for now, when I think my goal was a lighter color, we'll try just regular white. A lot of it, clearly.
Hey, Alex, Lauren is in the chat.
Hey, what's up, dude? How you doing?
Adrian says, I've used acryl gouache for like landscape backdrops and stuff. What's the benefit of using it for the whole piece in lieu of regular gouache?
That's a really good question. So give me a second to think about that. Because right now I'm sitting here like, okay, why would I use this instead of gouache? I think the permanence of it is definitely a selling point. It's definitely handy that it is not water soluble. Even though in working with it, that's kind of like, I'm kind of picking up some new things. That's absolutely a benefit. Let's see. I think the versatility of it is great. Whereas gouache, I think, correct. I really feel like with gouache, there's pretty much one way to use gouache. I think,
you just think it's less flexible?
I think so. I think that when you look at like gouache painters, no one's like using gouache in a new, exciting way, you know? Like people are using gouache very well, but it's not like, oh, like look at this guy, he's using I don't know, like he reinvented how. No, it's kind of something that you just master. You don't. Man, I feel like I'm talking myself into a hole here. What I really mean is that acrylic gouache is much more versatile. You can. I'm choosing to either let it be more transparent or more opaque, and I can just layer and layer and layer. Oh my goodness, what have I done? I've really done it this
Angie
time.
says, I'd only get my master's if I miraculously got a free ride. So it'll never happen. My cousin got her tuition for her master's in education reimbursed. That's way lucky.
Woo-hoo.
I think studio art MFAs are just not funded. I mean, if you go into the sciences, most graduate students in science, their tuition is covered. They get a teaching assistant gig and
Mhm.
usually a stipend. I mean, a lot of them are very generous, and the art schools just do not provide that.
Yeah, and the reason is for the sciences, basically, when you're getting, say, a PhD in the sciences, you are conducting research for the university. So you're essentially being paid to do that work. Um,
Right.
Whereas an artist, let's be real, like we've done several streams of like how to make it financially as an artist. It's not like, like we're going to fund you to do our MFA program so you can work at the painting factory down the road. And, it's just not, of course, I'm not saying art doesn't have value, but it's not that thing. It's not a big cash crop for schools, typically.
Well, and also, if you go to a master's program, you have to make sure that they even have a teaching program, because the graduate school I went to didn't have teaching assistantships. So when I was there, I didn't get any experience teaching. I know the RISD grad program has that. Usually the grad students teach a winter session course, but you have to look into that, because when I got out of school, I had never taught college. I'd not had any guidance with it, and it's hard.
Oh, well, that wasn't dry yet. Interesting.
We have a question here from Lillian, who says, what college do you recommend if you want to do art as a profession? It really depends on the field. And
Yep.
even within the field, it depends, because sometimes people say, oh, I want to do animation. And it's like, a lot of people don't realize how many pockets there are in the illustration world. I mean, animation world. I mean, you can be like a Pixar big animation studio animator. You could also be an independent animator. Maybe you just want to show at film festivals. There's animation in higher education. So, Lillian, it's really a matter of doing your research, because I know a lot of people say, oh, this is a top ranked school. And I'm like, it doesn't matter, because that architecture department may not be a good fit for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to like top ranked in what? What do I want to do? And really kind of be. It sounds cynical, but like be skeptical of what the school is offering. Like it's like, oh, we're the top school. It's like, okay, in what? In a particular
Stuff.
major, in student success rate after graduation. More so, what does that student success rate look like? How are you getting that data? Do you mean students who get a job in their field, or do you mean, what does that look like? I think the biggest thing, I think, Clara, you said this to me, like in regards to 2020, is like everyone took a sabbatical this year. And I
Yeah.
think it was the lesson I got most from it was that thing of you're in no rush. I don't know. I talked this year with an art proffer who was going to art school as undergrad, and they had a really cool mindset and outlook going forward of like, yeah, like I'm ready to do it, ready to go for it, know exactly what I want out of it. And it was like, yes, you go forth, you are ready for that. I think that all speaks to me. If I were to give my past self advice, don't get me wrong, I would still have gone to art school, but I think I would have I would have been more eager to learn when I was there, rather than
Yeah, but
think-
Alex, I also think a lot of it is just about like managing your expectations. Because I know people go to art school and they expect art school to do everything for them, and I'm like, that's not how it works.
Mhm. Yeah, like you kind of know what you're getting into a little bit. Oh, there we go. Man, see, this is funny. I'm having that same problem again where I keep working on the mountain and it keeps coming forward in space.
But oh my god, that pink!
I
love
like that pink. I like that pink a lot. That is a nice pink.
I feel jealous now.
Yeah, I just put some pink in there. Oh,
I
you
think
know
we
what?
need a little sound effect every time I feel jealous of the
Yeah.
other staff members' artwork.
This is going to be, I can see acrylic gouache being really good for when we get to those fine details.
Oh yeah?
I
Why
can
is
see it
that?
being awesome. Because the colors are so vibrant, it's very controllable. Like when you can change how thick or thin this paint is, I can basically do exactly what I want with it. Not now,
That's
of course.
amazing.
Right now, I'm really struggling, but
I'm like so surprised, Alex, that you like it so much because I thought that for you it just would always be inherently not as fun as regular gouache.
I think it's letting me be a little bit more painterly,
Hmm.
which I don't use gouache like very painterly. Like I there's some artists who do gouache very, very free form. I'm very rigid with my gouache, and this I think mentally I'm having a lot of fun being a little bit more wild with it.
It's bringing out the animal in you, Alex. Although you're definitely a really cute animal. I don't know what you are, but you're like adorable and fuzzy, so you're
Oh,
not scary.
I wish I was a red panda. Let's see.
I could see you being a red panda.
I gotta say, with acrylic gouache, not loving how the paint dries on the palette, because that is the big thing that with gouache, as I've said many times, you never have to worry about that. But here it's like, and I'll just use that color I mixed before, and it's gone.
Baker Illustration says, Clara, yours looks amazing, like a wispy dream in a fairy tale. Oh, that's cool.
I
And
second.
Adrian says, Strawberry Lemonade Mountain.
Yep. Absolutely.
Shell Rays is asking, what color mix is that, Alex?
Which part?
The
mountains?
Yeah.
That is coral red with a little bit of this interesting color I'd not heard before. John Brilliant.
What?
June, Brilliant.
What the heck is that color?
You know what? It's John Brilliant.
Such a weird color name.
That would absolutely be like my fake name if I was like on the run. It's like
John Brilliant.
I'm brilliant. John Brilliant. Let's see here. Oh, here's where I was going to put this green.
Alex, have you ever thought to yourself, oh my God, whoever invented the paper towel was a genius?
Yep. It's amazing all the things that like clearly were not made with artists in mind that now are artist staples. Staples, for one.
My favorite thing is ice cube trays. They make really good paint palettes if you're using like tempera or something larger.
That's amazing. Yeah, that would be so fantastic.
Well, I used to use them all the time when I taught elementary school. They were cheap, they were accessible, and they were so easy to clean.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And
also, you ever use, so we used to always have garlic presses that we would use to make hair and spaghetti for clay.
Whoop. I remember that in like summer camp ceramic studios at like
Right.
the Tucson Museum of Art actually has a really good art summer program that was like when I was growing up that was really awesome for like playing around with ceramics and paint and scratchboard.
This is a nice analogy, or rather accurate analogy from Maria, who says choosing schools is like dating. You just know the first date will not show you the bag of hair under the guy's head. Go on a lot of dates. And the B side, BC also have a B side.
Yep. I love that.
Sortenly says, I would have been just as well off learning on the job. Architecture school does not prepare you at all for what the practice really is. That's true, especially in fields where you have to learn new software all the time and all that tech stuff. It's like by the time you graduate, what you learned for software freshman year is no longer relevant.
Oh, yeah. It's...
I just put black. I didn't mean to put down that black. Shit.
Let's see here. Okay.
Keep picking up these stupid pastel pencils. Oh my god, go away.
Oh, here comes Blue Compose. What? I like these color names.
They're so weird. How come they're not the
Yeah, they're not
cobalt blue and stuff? Isn't that weird?
Tell you what, I don't know. It is weird. It is weird, and it's taking some getting used to. So I'm like, I wonder what John Brilliant is going to look like. I don't know.
The question is, Alex, is there Naples yellow in that set?
You know what? There is not. I was really curious about John's Brilliant. John's Brilliant is not Naples yellow.
Is there anything in there that looks like it might be like Naples?
I'm doing a little bit of John Brilliant with a little bit of permanent yellow deep and white.
So John Brilliant is yellow?
Kinda.
I don't understand what this
It's like a
is.
yellowish peach.
It's so distracting that it's named John Brilliant.
Good old John Brilliant. Okay, let's see here.
That makes me think, how come they have to, like, why don't they call Alizarin Crimson like Sarah? You know, like they could just give them real names.
We've talked about this before. I'm still very jealous of whoever names the paint colors at Home Depot. That's the dream job.
I know we painted our kitchen. It was at my mom's house, and it was called American Cheese.
Huh. That's a name.
I don't know. I think it must get annoying after a while because don't you start like running out of 5,000 versions of gray? I mean,
yeah, I painted my room in Boston a color called prom dress blue.
What?
Because prom dresses come in a lot of colors. So I'm like, okay, well, is there like a series of prom dresses? I don't know. Still have a lot of answers.
Actually, I think I can kind of imagine what prom dress blue looks like.
Right? It was more like a robin's egg, but, you know, no one asked me.
Paula says a local artist here uses escargot trays that he got in a clearance sale as watercolor palettes because they are ceramic, which he prefers. Ooh,
that's fantastic. I gotta check out on that. I bet that restaurant supplies would be an awesome resource for painting supplies.
Oh, that is the place, Alex. There is this place in Boston. it was like a restaurant supplier. So they had all these like plastic containers. And I was doing a lot of casting at the time with plaster. I found the perfect plastic container for plaster because it was flexible. So it never cracked, but it was also strong enough to hold the plaster, because usually the plastic containers, they're either too weak or they're too hard. And so it's hard to like crack the plaster out. But with this one, it was so flexible, you could just squeeze it and the plaster would just fall off. It was great.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? It's that perfect softness.
Yeah. And it's because we used a couple at the old coffee shop, and they're so cheap that I was like, I'm going to get some of these for myself.
Plus, I like going to places like that where you can buy like 10 quarts of vanilla extract.
Oh, yeah. Very, very cool. And it's like, wow, why doesn't everybody do this?
I know. Like, why don't I have 10 pounds of cinnamon bears?
Things like just get gallons and gallons of honey, for example. Never goes bad.
Well, actually, my brother-in-law is a beekeeper, and
Oh,
he
that's
has
so
lots
cool.
of bees in his backyard. Oh, I sort of flaked on the sky, Alex. I sort of forgot about it.
Yep, same. I did it at the very beginning, and I was like, well, that's done. Gotta go back.
Yeah, I sort of have no excuse for why it looks terrible. Maybe just a quick pass of colored pencil? I mean, I'm definitely not going to get that far.
No, that didn't quite work the way I thought it would.
This was more fun than I thought it was going to be, Alex. I thought I was going to dread using the colored pencil, but I think going back and forth between the two, like I actually did a couple layers where I did the first layer in colored pencil, then I did wash over it, and then I did another layer on top. So I think the key is just layers.
Yeah, I've never really explored watercolor colored pencil. It's always just been kind of like a thing. I've known about it, but is that it? Okay, this is interesting. This acrylic gouache white is extremely, no, maybe it's not the white fault. Let's say the other colors are so strong in their pigment. You know, Clara, how like, say with oil paint, like even a little bit of white is like, boom, so white.
Yeah.
This stuff, I'm having to use a lot of the other colors to get the white.
So wait, you're saying the white is very weak?
Yeah.
Huh.
Which is really, really cool. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah?
Now I want it to be a little bit more white, but that's really cool that you can essentially really finely dial it in like that.
Wait, so you like that it's weak?
Now that I'm used to it, I do, because that means I can really have fun making some layers to it. It won't kill the colors. Like when I advise people to not get white for gouache, use Naples yellow instead. This is like the opposite thing, where it's like, no, this white is so mild-mannered.
Everybody, we would love for you to join Alex and I in the Art Prof Discord. We will be in the Art Alongs channel. Invite link is in the YouTube video description below. Subscribe to our channel so you can continue to grow and develop as an artist. Help us out with the YouTube gods. Like this video, leave a comment, watch it until the very end. Well, this is the very end, so I guess that doesn't really work. And by the way, a big thank you to our top Patreon supporters. You are all such an incredible community, and really, you guys are it. This is what it comes down to. I mean, we're doing these demos and everything, but you guys are the heart of what we're trying to do. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.